by 3D Max, you know, top 8 ESL Pro League. But disappointing at Fisher. It's a good tournament for them to sort of try to dig their heels into the sand, try to get to that next level. And if there's a way to do that, it's to start off strong against the Huns. Anyway, Prof, Dust, thank you so much for your thoughts. Enough from us for now. Let's head over to our casters, get this one underway. Neokai and Scriv, over to you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. Very excited to get into things here. And no waiting around. We are straight into the Counter-Strike, it would seem. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting kind of matchup to open things, I feel, here on the mainstream. But 3D Max, I think, coming into a map like Nuke, coming into a tournament like this, going to be very happy with the result and trying to lay down the law, trying to put their best foot forwards, but they will lose that immediate head. We have seen them even things back up, and lucky there's absolutely no waiting around. They're getting aggressive.
This is the big thing right now, and it's all about playing to try and deny it, but you lose track a little bit. So 1 minute 15 on the clock, and it's now a bit of a hunting game to see actually where the Huns have gone. What a start though by 3D Max. You immediately go for double dualies in towards a lobby crunch. That's a core by gravity, and this is where these kind of new changes are coming through for this 3D Max side, playing this sort of exciting brand of Counter-Strike now. And you know me, I've hated this side for a little bit, right? I used to hate watch them a little bit because I didn't enjoy the Counter-Strike. It was slow, it was very an old school style, but I've loved what I've seen from 3D Max. We casted them winning in China not even that long ago, of course, at the Perfect World Tournament, and they looked fantastic. So I'm excited. Body for 2, looking to close it in style, and Exorcise will. 3D Max. It's a little slow as the Huns get sort of stuck in ramp there, but for 3D Max, that's a pretty clinical start, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're going to see a few rounds here, I think, from 3D Max, where they are trying to get that square peg in the circular hole, right? Just forcing things. But in a matchup like this, I think it's something they can get away with. It's going to be very, very tough for the Huns to really get going here on the T side of Nuke. I just think that, look, they're a good team within the realms of Mongolia, but there's quite a severe drop-off after the Mongols. So the Frenchmen are not going to let them get any room here this afternoon, as it would be where they are playing just about. Lucky getting aggressive. This time looking a bit better, as the early kills will come in against the Ecos. Just got to be careful. I think, you know, it's one of those rounds where you would argue potentially not even wanting to lose a single player. Yeah. And they've done that before I even get the words out. So maybe some money-making opportunities here for 9.
As long as it's only 1, I think it's fine. You know, but you are right. You want to make this as inexpensive as possible. I like what I'm seeing here. Bartak hits a nice shot with the Deagle, just to really keep things a little bit spicy, a little bit on edge. Granted, shouldn't make too much of a difference in the round, but being a bit of a nuisance, keeping that CT economy in check just a tad. 9 lurking inside of this smoke. He will be cleared and seen off by Maka. Good due diligence just to check that close cubby. A 2-0 start for 3D Max. So far, so good. All things considered, this is now this sort of true test, right? Guns going to come into play now for the Huns, and an opportunity to prove what they're all about. And there's a few people that are worth kind of bringing to attention. Of course, Score's always a name that generally is brought to the forefront of a lot of people's minds here as well. But I think it's worth also mentioning Cobra Zera. Having spoke to the Huns quite a lot as well, they put a lot of hope in towards him. There's a lot of kind of talk about him being this sort of future for this scene and him being somebody who can really, really take over. So keep an eye on him. They give him a lot of resources. They give him a lot of chances to shine. They're swinging out towards A early. Bartak's inside of that smoke. He's going to be flashed into the fight, but he's the first to fall. Gravity will close things. Ticking in that molly. They're trying to pounce on towards this A site, but 3D Max are standing tall.
Good finds here, as Exorcise with a blind sort of peek there will manage to find the all-important kill. It feels like it's a couple low HP bars, but the Huns going to have their work cut out. This is the thing. They come in with the early rifle buy. There's a lot of utility lacking, I think, for this Hun side of things. So they go for the early aggression, try and make something happen with that, and it just doesn't. And
yeah.
Technically still possible in the round, but it just feels from a position of the bird's eye view that we all have at the moment, this one is slowly going to be over, and maybe one more kill for the Huns is kind of a nice death. They might be able to save off the back of that, but at the moment they are still looking to prod and poke and try and get a way back in here.
Yeah, I mean, Body, this is such a difficult angle to sort of get past. Even if he just stands tall, keeping an eye on that left-hand side, he's actually just basically dodged the bullet here. And it looks like Zrolt's going to turn away. Oh my god, he's making noise though. They've got to know about it. Surely Score's heard that. And yes, Zrolt's being turned back around. They now know Body's here. And now he knows that they're also in front of him. This is a little bit janky. We've got 18 seconds. Huns, we've got to make a move here. We just don't have the time. Body going to get a kill onto Scores. Zrolt's going to fall to the hands of Lucky. And this round is already falling apart for the Huns. Last man of 9. Can't call yourself out of this one. So he's called to save. And that'll be a really tepid end to a round for the Huns. And this is something, you know, and we've come to know the Huns relatively well, having cast them so often recently, you know, and we've been out in Asia doing a bit of work with them before. And this is always the issue I've had with the Huns. Plan A is generally speaking quite good. However, if Plan A falls flat, their mid to late rounding, their Plan B is always really quite janky. They don't really know what to do, and it's happened. We've seen it already in the pistol and now in the first gun rounds. 2 out of the 3 rounds so far where they lose the initial 2 fights, and they just don't really know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's maybe a little bit of a symptom of the Tier 2 Asia scene.
Yeah.
Teams that do well within their domestic leagues, it's like, where is that secondary idea?
Oh.
Sometimes they don't need it, but one of the key things we like to point out with this region and with teams like the Huns, they're force buys. When there is a removal of pressure, they look very, very good. So they've only found the 1 kill here, but they managed to get that bomb down. It's through the smoke at Single that things go pear-shaped. And all of a sudden, the retake looks pretty good here for 3D Max. So bomb plant is one thing. They've not really been able to do anything with it. 9 is on this hero AK. There's a defuse on the bomb. He will manage to write them off. They'd considered him naught in towards Single. Molotov will come in. They've got to try and get the trade on him here. They both still have kits available. Lucky going to be on that bomb and will indeed win the round out. But for just a moment there was hope for the Huns. All the same, it continues a flawless CT half here for 3D Max.
They've really lost track of that being a possibility. And in all fairness, for 9, that's a bit of a bold move.
Yes.
Really late, coming back down vent, wrapping Single door where your teammate's just fallen all of a few seconds ago. It's not a bad effort at all in that post-spawn. For 3D Max, that's one of the few times that we've seen, you know, thus far. They've basically sort of been clean all the way throughout, but they did lose track there, and that was nearly very, very costly. All that matters, though, 4-0 start. 3D Max on Nuke have been really quite fun to watch as well. They're a side who like to be quite aggressive on the CT side, like to be quite proactive. And the Huns are dealing with it at the moment. And regionally, this has been a map in which he's played a lot in Asia, but not to the proactive level. Scored, good for 2. Lucky will trade, but that's a nice start. And they're looking for more. But that is a bold move by Cobra Zera, flying through the smoke, and a freebie for Body.
It's one of the, again, it's like the double entry from Score, generally speaking, against your maybe Chinggis Warriors of the world, it would be enough. But in a game like this, 3D Max across the board have quite a defense to deal with. Everybody else gets a little excitable for the overpeak, for the next opportunity. They don't take a clean 2-piece and just step back and go, right, we can win the round from here. They've sort of gotten a bit greedy for the kills, and it's allowed 3D Max to get back in. A nasty angle from Lucky gives them the man advantage. So all of a sudden, after what you would argue is one of the best starts in a round of Counter-Strike, it's gone the way of 3D Max here, and it should be a way that they can nail things home. But
they can get a plant, though.
Yeah, they have crept out. They have found maybe one of 2 or 3 gaps within this round. They'll start to give the game away as the Molotov goes on high. But the bomb plant looks good. And you start to worry slightly for the Frenchman. Another Molotov in towards Heaven, which felt like their better defended area of that A bomb site. So they just have to be careful here. Lucky, pretty low from earlier on.
Yeah.
1 or 2 well-placed bullets could make all the difference here for the Huns.
I feel like a lot of this comes down to what Body can do, right? Can he get out of Heaven is the main thing. Another molly put on his feet, the third one. 9 going to find a fight, and Bartek go for 1. Oh, XSCs. So well done. He has stepped up so many times for the 3D Max side recently, and he does it once again. Enough time for the defuse and a 5-0 start for the Huns. That is an awkward one. And welcome to the clutch indeed. XSC's brilliant. 7-1 out the gates for him. Fantastic. And 5 in a row for 3D Max. There is so much to love right now, but there's a lot to break down in that round. We talk about the double opener to start things. We were already discussing this. That's the perfect time where you just take a breather. You've got to look towards 9, right? Calling here and saying, right, slow down. Double opener. We've now got the man advantage. Let's use this. Let's use the numbers in our favor. They don't. An overfight by Cobrazera swinging through a smoke feels completely unnecessary and a freebie given over towards body. And then things start to crumble. So our first tactical pause taken here as well. And a good opportunity, of course, for Coach Karnis to get involved. But, I mean, you know, for Huns, there's been some really quite grave errors and quite a few of them already in such a small span of the game.
There's maybe only one gear for this Huns team. And coming into this year one...
Whole W fly into the fights.
Indeed. But I think that's kind of what we were expecting, though. When you look at it on paper, that's the way they play. That's the way that they sort of own the game. And maybe it is better for the mental to sort of realize what kind of team you are.
They've got an identity. We'll give them that, right? You know, live and die by the sword a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. But you always, listen, if you've only got one gear, you've still got reverse. You still need to go backwards once in a while. And that's maybe where the tac pause comes in that might just help them tighten things up. Felt like a winnable round in the previous, and those are going to be your key rounds in a game of underdog versus overdog.
Yeah.
You need to be able to capitalize on those moments. So the fact that they haven't is a very, very good sign for 3D Max to just keep this train rolling.
Body should be one on the table here, and it is. Body in towards ramp so far has been pretty damn relentless. He goes 4-2. The third is on the cards, and he actually will get away. All you need to see, bomb spotted 2-0, smoke out towards ramp. Body's been so efficient, though, over towards ramp so far, and more often than not, it's that fight on towards Cobrazera. Sort of touted him a bit at the start. They give him a lot of resources. They give him a lot of space to sort of express himself. However, he can't get going. It's wasted, right? And this is what it's been so far. A lot of fights by him taken dry on his own and, well, losing.
Big man 9 trying to make something happen. Meanwhile,
hang on.
What is going on
this
here?
Is it. The round's
a lot of space for gravity.
It's
a lot
done.
of information at the end of the day. Oh, that honestly could have been 2. He's jumped the gun very, very early. A little tetchy hit over in China, but we'll see. It should be all good, and just like that, the kill feed lights up. They will use that information, which is as valuable as the kills itself. 3D Max keep it going, and honestly not putting a foot wrong for quite a while here.
Yeah, as they say, all's well that ends well, right? And that's, I guess, ultimately that matters. We'll forget Gravity getting a little panic, deer in headlights moment there as he saw 2 in front of him, but a second tac pause taken. And I think this is super valid by the Huns, right? Nothing's working so far. We're not even getting to a point, really. We've had a couple of post plans, one of which was, right, can 9 pull off a 1 versus 4 on a rotate? Granted, made something of it. And the other one was a 2 versus 3, which wasn't really favored for them in the first place. And they got close, sure, but XC steps up. We've not actually seen a position so far where it's a post plant where we actually have a reasonable chance of winning this. So for the Huns, I think it's super valid while we're going for another. And you may as well burn all of them, right? If things aren't working, if you can't get the T-side going, you don't give yourself any foundations to work with in this first half, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
3D Max, they're playing like favorites, right? They're playing like the highest ranked team in the tournament. They're playing like number 10 in the world. And they're playing like a side who, especially this year, have been revitalized. They have really looked good this year, and they've been fun to watch. And that's what we're seeing. And you can see it. They're expressing themselves. They're feeling good. And, they're playing very good as well.
It's no stress, you know, this best of one, you open the tournament, this is kind of where you should be displaying your prowess, displaying that ranking that you are perhaps deserving of, and they've had sort of a rough couple weeks in terms of results, but also they've been playing some pretty big names that I think will give them quite the leg up here. How has this happened, though? Scorers managed to get down the vent. We all make mistakes, I suppose. Nobody considering that at all. But there is a man downstairs. Body nearly in for the 3-piece to close the round out. It's not over just yet, but it's still an advantage for 3D Max to work with. They've got players in a good position. They can't quite deny the bomb plan, but there is the break of the smoke. Usually goes a bit south, but here they will hold off. And again, it is 1 step forward, 2 steps back for the Huns.
Yeah.
A player down the vent, but they can't do anything with it, you know, and things like that not going your way is really not a good omen for the rest of this map.
And poor score as well. He's been holding for Gravity to come down vent, and he's been so patient, he's waiting, and his teammate falls like, right, I should probably actually step up here, I need to go and collect the bomb. The second he turns away, Gravity moves down. It honestly couldn't have been worse timing. But a 7-0 start for 3D Max. Yeah, this is a brutal display of efficiency by the French. Oh, pulled out as well. Maka missed shot. Uncharacteristic, of course, he's looked pretty sharp at times recently, but he's trying to take these pop shots through, and they've actually crossed. So one's made it down secret. They don't need to commit to this, but having a player down lower is really important now. It's a good opportunity to split. XC's inside of the smoke. He'll drop another as well over towards Single, just to keep score at bay.
Yeah, playing with fire here for sure on the 3D Max side of things.
Though. That's a roll down towards Vent. This is kind of interesting.
Could be very workable.
You could wrap back A here. Split through A, go one up through Vent.
Small tester in the previous round, right? It didn't quite work, but they didn't quite have the weapons. So I think there's a bit more to go off of here and what they decide to do. That being said, 55 seconds left on the clock. There's a decent amount of utility remaining for that CT side that they can certainly just keep them at bay. Maka's still alive on this AWP. He's not found the opportune kill earlier on, but this time, easier. Cannot miss at this point, and he knows that fact. Gonna go pushing in here a little aggressive. The cover on the side is not as good as you might expect, but they still have bodies here. Exorcise ready to go. Another key missed shot by Maka. You see what happens. There's a trade from Lucky, but it feels shaky. Body comes up from behind, however, and just chips away at them. And again, there are these moments for 3D Max that just show they have that extra 25% of the game here.
Yeah, you're right. You are. I mean, this is now really getting to a point of being quite tilting as well for the Huns. We're trying a few different tempos. We're trying a few different ideas as well, and nothing sticking. Another round as well where the investment's full and we can't even get ourselves in towards a post-bomb position. Even if it's a bad post-bomb position, we just can't even get the bomb down. We don't get the opportunity to execute in towards that site efficiently. So, yeah, so far, so good. The third attack pause taken, and like I was saying, super valid. You may as well burn them. If you cannot build any foundations here in this first half, there's nothing. We can talk all day about how CT side of Nuke is and can be and has been. Who gives a damn if you can't get anything on your T side? And I think Huns are very, very aware of the situation they're in. Time is rapidly running out. If 3D Max even just one more round in this first half, that could be enough, right? Where it's just such a deficit you have to try and fight back into. And, well, from current form, 3D Max look so damn good. So, I'm like what I'm saying. There is still, though, gaps, right? And we're seeing this with 3D Max. There's a couple of pocket moments where it feels like a side, you know, I don't mean to do the Huns a little bit dirty here, but a side who maybe a little bit better would really make use of that. The gap in towards vent seems quite consistent. There's also space towards outside, which the Huns are getting, but they're not capitalizing on these opportunities. Tech9 buying towards this one, and it starts pretty badly. Nine now got a call from the grave, and they're walking through a smoke. Gravity spamming finds two, as the pistol pulled out to try and deny this presence, but bombs dropped. And this feels all but done before it even begins. Score tagged down to minuscule amounts of HP, and the bomb has spilled forward in towards the site. Half-mate, there's no chance.
Indeed. Certainly relying on individuals here, 3D Max, but when it works, I think they will stick to it for sure. And it is beautifully fallen, as the bomb will be at the feet of 2 or 3 players here on this A-bomb site. Not a lot to work with. Exorcist's been running the show on high, and to be fair, one of the players that's running the show in this half as well, not really gone down all that much in the majority of these rounds.
Yeah.
Maka just holding the line. Bit of a classic skin for him on the AWP as well. They are certainly feeling relatively casual here.
You got to tuck this
morning. Sometimes your elbows, they're just a little wider than you think.
You've got to look into the box there, or you peek around, and Mac will make most of that. Zerop also going to fall a flawless round for 3D Max. And what's even more damning now for the Huns is that we've had 3 tactical timeouts, and following the timeouts, nothing's changed. It's the same exact round.
Yeah,
right?
that's very true, actually.
It's really getting to a point now where you can see that actually the the strat book here for the Huns is very thin, right? This is just not panning out the way this side wants to. 3D Max, little to no complaints at all, really. Like we said, there's a few gaps here and there that I think a top team would punish. A team like a FaZe, for example, would really make use of, you know, gaps towards vents, for example, or these slight bits of gaps to get in towards outside. But the Huns, it just doesn't seem they have it in the wheelhouse. Spot flash in here.
Ooh, and Bartak with an opener. But my goodness, body looks far too crisp. There are some kills coming back in for those AKs, though. And Body now finds himself a little stuck. It's actually a T-smoke that does him good there to just stay in the action. And he is fancying it. That is awfully close. Absolutely needs to stay alive, but he was a distraction. Gravity comes in from the side, evens up the numbers, looking for a little bit more. He's very quickly repositioned here. Score will take his head clean off, looking for a flawless round from Score, but it's not going to happen. And it's Body, in fact, who comes around 15-3 right now. But just all those kills, he's maybe expended like 10 bullets, you know? He's so crisp, he's so clean. And 3D Max, again, showing that they have that extra level to push around towards, to push a clutch towards, and the Huns robbed of yet another round.
Yeah. You know, I'm no coach, I'm no analyst, and, you know, the Huns, you could ignore my point here, but let's leave ramp. I feel like it's not working out, right? We've been trying to test Body all game long, and it continues to go the same way. Maka will open things up to Roll 4. He just gets spammed by Utors. The flames that see him off in the end, burnt to a crisp. A dinkle towards Maka will leave him low, but with the orb, ultimately, who cares? They're trying to cross down towards outside, but there's a player lower to meet them, and it's Body. He wants more. 1-4-1, which honestly, by his standards, isn't great. We normally expect more. That's how good he's been playing.
Yeah, not the guy you want to meet.
4 KD, by the way.
Indeed.
16
a crazy guy. Yeah, and one of the wild things to talk about with 3D Max, right? Has he been freed up recently? Is he still halfway calling, getting involved in the mid-round?
Yeah, he's a voice, but
yes,
I will say one thing that's made me love this side is this kind of new style of Gravity calling. We casted the first game of this 3D Max side with Gravity's new implemented style, and I've liked what I've seen. Ooh. Oh, hang on a second. This round's on. This is the best round we've seen so far from the Huns. Things could actually work out, or maybe I speak too soon. Need to come round. We're moving up from vent again, and look who's there. It's Gravity. Just as we were singing his praises, he once again pops up. The Huns, the best opportunity. The round was in their hands, and it slips through like sand.
Yeah, I mean, they have had every sort of opportunity that the Huns have had. There's been a 3D Max player that comes in from behind, or as you saw there, comes up the vent at the perfect time. So they do seem to, yes, have a few gaps, but maybe they're self-aware of those gaps, and the contingency plan is often pretty good. Again, it's something that might get abused, you know? It just needs one player to have their eye on vent for even 5 seconds. It's not a lot of time to ask, but the Huns, they are very one-track. They are very transparent themselves, and 3D Max are abusing that at the moment. Another opener here for the French side of things, looking for the flawless first half to kick us off here at the CAC. Absolutely wild stuff, and in a way, we hope for the Huns that they can get something on the board,
just
but
anything. Yeah,
not looking good at the moment.
We're not even 25 minutes into the game, and when it's done, it's mental. Flash around the corner. We'll catch the roll. There's a bit of outside presence here, and Body gonna re-aggress. I like that call. Let's reclaim a little bit of space here. They know it's a real possibility, and, well, as we can see, one has made it down towards lower, but they're holding for this. They know this is on the cards here, and Lucky playing that angle. He can spot the head. A little bit of a messy fight. They ended up bound round as well. Molotov was to stop and keep Zerol at bay, but it's all information. That's all that matters, really. It's a 5 versus 3. This is a tough round to lose for 3D Max in the spot that they're currently in.
Yeah. Very, very challenging indeed. But again, the Huns, they seem to be able to get a player in good spots, but they don't necessarily do anything with it, or maybe it's not as good of a spot as it first seems.
25 seconds here, bro.
Very, very, very unlikely, you would say, but there's your key kill potentially. They are going to get the bomb down here. 3D Max maybe you take your eyes off the ball as the half comes to a close, and they might just let one slip through the gaps here, but a good flash down the vent. 9 is so unbelievably blind, he's traded out. The number's still going to look good, so I think they're pretty happy on that 3D Max side of things to start crunching them in, closing the gap, and just squeezing this B-bomb site. Very well done, and I don't know, can they lose a round? It really does look that way at the moment for 3D Max as they continue finding the unlikely moments, and they will get that flawless first half.
Yeah, so deservedly as well. That is such a good showing coming through from 3D Max, and this is a statement being made. You know, first game of the tournament, let's prove the level that we're at right now, and that's exactly what we want to see for this side for the Huns. It's pretty dismal, for being completely honest. There's so many squandered opportunities for this side, but they are just being outplayed, and we came and talked about it a little bit during that half. When plan A goes out the window, the contingency plans to follow it aren't always great, and that came to be the issue, right? And the forefront of our minds so often, where that plan B was so janky and so tough to watch.
But there was a good 4 or 5 rounds where plan A was enough.
Yes, and then they squander it. We overextend, we try and fight, and you know, it comes back to what we were saying, right? The live and die by the sword, right? And this is, you know, it's Huns to a T. I think it's one of those styles of play that domestically very strong, because they do have the individuals just to punish, right? That's the, you know, the main talking point about this Hun side is that domestically, we talk about the qualifier, of course, to get here. Some of the sides, granted, not the strongest, right? But we're talking about teams like Alter Ego, for example, of course, who they beat to get here. It's very easy wins for them, because they can dominate them. They can say, right, we've got better individuals, we've got better mechanics, and we're just going to fly in towards the fight. And they don't even need to call too heavily. Unfortunately, you can't do that against like 3D Max. Not only are you mechanically not as good, but strategically not as good either. And
yes, we might argue that there's a little bit too much to go at here against the Frenchman, starting off with a keen 1-for-1. However, is a good delivery and another one to fall in. So it will be a 3 versus 3, and with some good information here for the Huns, they may well be able to get a pistol under their belt. Maka with the wherewithal, but just not the aim to get that kill. So man advantage here swings for the favor of the Huns, and there's a couple dualies to go at. So this is where it gets very difficult to break through a defense like this.
Yeah, they got time. 1 minute 10. We don't need to rush here. We don't need to panic. It could be one of the cards here, and there is. The patience pays off. 9. I don't even want to call it an overextension because it feels unjust. Score with the dual easy. Here's all of this. This should be a freebie. Oh my god, is he going to go for the knife? Oh, no! What are you doing? What are you doing? You're 12-0 down. Why are we going for the knife? And you might have just squandered the only chance to get around. What in God's name is going through your mind when you're 12-0 down to try a knife in a 2 versus 2? And now this round could be done. It's all on the shoulders of Cobrazeri. He has to step up. 1 versus 2 turn, 1 versus 1. He spotted the last, and he's going to win the round. So, my god, score is bailed out, but you are one lucky son of a gun to get away with that. That could have been one of the worst ways to lose a map and a series I've seen in a long, long time.
Yes, absolutely insane. I mean, they get away with it there. I suppose the luck had to go their way. A likely round, a doable round. They've lost a number of those.
They didn't deserve it. The luck didn't deserve to go their way.
I suppose.
Not after that.
But it's always the pistols, isn't it, where some of that madness, you get away with it, and just a couple clean flicks coming in. Still feeling good. They don't get 13-0'd, which is quite an important thing when you think about your manlyhood, I suppose, as a player. But yes, the knife is sort of insane. But you have to respect the chase of the game as well. That
live and die by the sword.
Yes, when there is a knife available, I'm going to do it, regardless of the scoreline, regardless of how bad this might be if it goes south. You've got to commit to the knife. But yeah, 3D Max not going to be sweating too much, of course. The Huns have gotten the bare basic level of, like, let's not get absolutely trounced, but it still doesn't look that great. So we have a long road ahead here before we start this conversation of, can they get the map? Can they make this competitive? Can it even be something to work with?
Oh, no.
And indeed, it might be over before it's even begun. The couple rifles that are bought up are singing loud and proud here for 3D Max.
I mean, we're speaking about the Huns and how they can be, especially regionally, quite scary with the force bias, but 3D Max are no joke either. No way. It's 1 versus 5, and it looks like The curtains are being drawn on this game. It's all on the shoulders of one man. Bartek got to bail them out here in a 1 versus 5 as bomb goes down. No chance. What a force buy by 3D Max. That is so well played. And well, they can't quite do it flawlessly. They now know where he is. No chance in hell. MP9, HE, hope and a dream.
Yeah, no chance anyway, you look. And he will indeed go down to a couple shots from the scout. That will be that. 3D Max, they were the favorite coming into this, but I'd say a fair statement, right? When you look at a team like the Huns, they should be taking the victory. They should be taking it cleanly. That cleanly, nearly flawless, is kind of a perfect indictment of what we're expecting here from 3D Max in this tournament.